Have you ever found yourself in that moment? You know, the moment right before your dog freaks out about whatever? Like maybe you're out on a walk and your dog sees the other dog like just over the hill and you're like, "Oh no, it's about to happen." And you're like grabbing for your treats. You get your treat out, you're standing there and you're wiggling the treat and then you're kind of making weird noises and you kind of call their name and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have called their name." And then you do like a little dance and like your dog doesn't even look at you. Like they don't even acknowledge. I mean, friend, you could be wearing a prime rib suit, dripping with the au jus, and nothing from your dog. You ever had that moment? And your dog, if they do look at you, are like, "Sorry, I'm busy." I mean, I've had that moment. I had that moment with Apollo. So if that's ever happened to you, today I want to talk about one of the biggest myths in dog training. Is it the biggest? It's probably not the biggest. It's a myth. Let's not over exaggerate it, Tracy. Reel it in a little bit. But let's talk about something. You ever heard the idea of being the bigger squirrel? Have you ever heard that phrase, be the bigger squirrel? Right? Dog training advice is like be more rewarding, be more exciting, be more valuable, have better treats, use higher value treats. And on the surface level, that makes sense until you're standing out there trying to out squirrel a squirrel. You know what I'm saying? That is you, my friend. I mean, I laugh because I've been there. I've been there, friend. I knows the things. I knows the things. Okay, so if that is you and you're wondering, oh my gosh, what do I actually do then if I can't be the bigger squirrel? I'm glad you asked. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. If you're someone who, like me, has always had a deep down love of dogs, like a deep down love, like an understanding, like deep in your soul, and you realize somewhere along the line that there was something more than just dog training. If you've ever felt like there had to be more than just click and treat and repeat, more than just managing the behavior, more than just chasing the next technique, more than just trying to control every little thing that your dog does, if you know that there's something deeper available to you and your dog, a way to build more trust, more understanding, and a more connected life together, then I want to invite you to come and check out the Fearless Framework. The Fearless Framework is my 12-month online coaching program where we dive deep into understanding behavior, yes, of course, but more importantly, understanding your dog. Your dog, the dog right in front of you, the dog that you love more than anything, your beautiful, unique soul that you are sharing this experience with. Together, we're going to explore how to build that trust, connection, confidence, influence, and a relationship that makes everything else easier. Because when you truly understand your dog's behavior, everything else starts to make sense. And when behavior makes sense, everything changes. You become less frustrated, more understanding, more confident. You stop second guessing yourself and you start having more brilliant days than bad ones. Now listen, it's not a quick fix, but if you've been looking for that missing piece, that thing you've always felt there was but couldn't quite put your finger on it, then come check out the Fearless Framework. Head on over to beyondobedience.ca/fearless. Let's do this together. I'll see you there, friend. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Yes. Slow clap from the back. It is the Beyond Obedience podcast. We are here today. I am excited that you are here, that you're able to join me on this journey. Oh my gosh, I've got so much stuff I need to talk about. So I'm going to try to keep it in check, Tracy. Keep it in check. Oh gosh. I know. Sometimes things just get away on me. Did you catch the last couple of episodes? Some things got away with me. Last episode, I was reminiscing. I was reminiscing about the lessons learned from the dogs that I have loved and all the different lessons, all the different dogs in my life, and how each and every one of them made me better, a better dog lover, a better trainer, a better educator, just better, a better person. Honestly, dogs make us better people, don't they? They just make us better. I love them so much. I love them so much. All right, today, the podcast. Speaking of dogs that taught me a lot, I think I could do probably like a whole series on this character right here. Gosh, I miss him. Every time he pops into my Facebook memories, I have such a big smile and the funny thing is about this particular dog is I also have probably the most frustrating stories with him, like the most frustrating stories with him. But I think that's the point, right? I think that is the point. Like if you're somebody currently that is just like, you're like in it, like you're in the thick of it. You're like the behavior. I don't understand it. I can never predict when my dog is going to do A, B, or C. And it's just, everything's so hard and all of that stuff. If you're in it right now and you're just like, oh, everything, I want to show you what is on the other side of that, because I truly, with all of my heart of hearts, believe that the dogs that challenge you the most, the dogs that give you that little extra spice in your spicy mayo. What? I know. I had sushi yesterday, so it's it's on my mind. The spicy mayo. Those are the dogs that, well, yes, the frustration level might be high, but if you think about it, on the other side of that, the joy is also high. The laughter is also high. The things that they do, like I used to say that Apollo, if you haven't guessed who this is, I'm talking about my what was he? He was right-brained extrovert. If you've taken the dogonality quiz, he was a right-brained extrovert, confident, meaning he was constantly in instinct, in drive, in prey drive. He was constantly in the environment. He was constantly scanning, seeking, searching. And he had, on a number of occasions, chased and harmed a barn cat. He did harm a barn cat. He went after my pig like thrice. Like, what? My poor mini pig. He was something. So while I had many trips to the vet clinic because of this dog, he also tried his hardest. Like the same intensity that Apollo had to piss me off. Sorry, I was hoping I had a little bleepy button that I could bleep that. Just be like, bleep. I don't have a bleepy button. But the same amount of intensity he had to just get under my skin was also the same intensity he had to love everything about me. This dog would walk through fire for me if I asked him to. Like he was something. And honestly, one of the most challenging for me to wrap my head around in the dog. So if you're new and you haven't met Apollo, meet Apollo. Apollo was a greyhound pit bull mix. So picture the long, lanky, lean, muscular body of a greyhound with a pit bull head. And I used to always make the joke that if you ever thought you could outrun a pit bull, now you can't. Like he was He was everything. He was everything. And he was beautiful and graceful. And oh my gosh, like he was the dog I had to learn how to play tug and how to learn how to play tug properly to hit that fulfillment, to learn how to be part of fulfillment, all of that thing. It was Apollo. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to bring up Apollo is, and I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. Right when we moved from Ontario to Nova Scotia, we had driven 2 days. If you haven't heard that story, uh, the Franken family's trip across from Ontario to Nova Scotia. As I've mentioned, I had a lot of dogs and a lot of animals. We were moving a farm. So we actually found someone to help move our horses, but we could not find anybody to help us move 19 dogs. And last minute, we had to buy a school bus. Yes, that is, you heard me correctly. Like I'm talking like it was last minute, like 2 weeks before we had to move, and we still had no way of like how we were going to get 19 dogs to our new place. And so we bought a school bus and we ripped out the seats and we put crates in there and we traveled like the Partridge Family meets the Beverly Hillbillies across 2 provinces to make our way to Nova Scotia. Anyway, we get here, we get to Nova Scotia. We still don't have our stuff, right? We had some stuff, but not our stuff. Like the big truck hadn't come yet. So I didn't have like really any of my dog training gear, any of that kind of thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to walk Apollo. I had Apollo, Berlin, and Paris with me for this group of dogs that I was walking. And I'm like, I'm going to walk them up the hill. So we had this great big huge hill that backed onto a forest and all of this stuff. You got to kind of picture it. So we're walking and I've got Apollo on a leash. The noofs, they could wander off because they were noofs. They didn't really go anywhere. And even if they did, they didn't go there that quickly. But we're walking up the hill and I'm like, you know what? There's nothing going on. I'm going to let Apollo off the leash. So many mistakes in that decision. I mean, I was pretty fatigued. We had driven for 2 days, hadn't slept. Like, I made bad choices. But I'll tell you, it was a bad choice because, you know, taking the dogs out of their element. Anyway, we could talk about the mistakes I made later. The point is, I was like, there's nothing up here. We're walking away from the road. We're so far away from the road. I'll let him off. He's been so good lately with his recall, right? So I let him off. He's all excited. He's bounding around the field. He's bugging Berlin. Like he's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, there we go. He needed to get out. They've been literally in a crate and only stopping at rest stops for small walks and whatnot. So he needed to stretch his legs. We come up over the crest of the hill. And lo and behold, there had to have been 10, 15 deer. Just a bunch of deer. Just standing there, grazing. And I saw them, and actually, I didn't see them at first. I saw Apollo freeze, like just stand perfectly still. And I was like, uh-oh. And I look up, and there's all these deer. And I'm like, oh, no. You know that moment? You know that moment where you're like, oh, no. I have one of those moments. And so there I was. Now, I mean, I had nothing on me. I've had moments before where I've tried to pull the treats out where I'm like, I have a cookie. Even when I say it now, it sounds ridiculous, right? Like, I have this cookie. I have this processed piece of dried up whatever that... You want this instead of chasing the 15 deer that are in front of you? Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. But I actually didn't even have a cookie in this moment. I was not prepared. But he was frozen. So I was like, I didn't want to get like too excited because, you know, when you raise your intonation a little bit and you get that airy thing where you're like, don't do it. The dog's like, see you, sucker. So I was like really calm. I'm like, Apollo. And Apollo turned, like almost like slow motion turned his head. His body stayed perfectly still, like a statue, still all intense, like the leaning forward, like where pointing at the deer, but his head just almost creepily, like turned back to look at me. And it was a look like, I'm so sorry, but this is happening, right? Like he had that momentary look of, I can't help it. I could actually see the muscles in his back legs starting to quiver. That's like, I can just, like in the moment, I can picture the adrenaline just pumping through those veins. And it was like in a split second, like he shot out like a rocket, and deer start just running in all sorts of different directions. Like they're popping up, like they're just running everywhere. And I'm like, I, of course, do the stupid human thing that we all do. I start screaming his name at the top of my lungs. Now, listen, if you want to make a really great impression for your new neighbors, just be sure to, like, show up at your new house in a bus with a boatload of dogs and 3 goats and a mini pig and 7 barn cats and a tank of fish. Like, show up. Just pull in with all confidence with that getup. And then the very next day, take your dogs up to the top of the hill like you're in the Sound of freaking Music and just scream dogs' names at the top of your lungs like you're a lunatic. Because nothing says, wow, our neighbors are unstable, like that image I just gave you. That's what was going on. I'm up there screaming. Here's the funny part, the sidebar part, and the difference between like know your breeds and know your dogs. I'm running and screaming like a maniac at like the dog that had just taken off, deer running everywhere. Also, side note to add, there were baby deer that were like lying in the grass that I didn't see. Those little suckers started popping up. It was like whack-a-mole. Like things were just jumping out of the long grass. I'm like, it was insanity. But as I'm running, like, in my mind, it's slow motion, like, no, Apollo. I look down beside me, and the 2 noofs that I have with me, Paris and Berlin, I laugh now, they're joyfully bounding beside me. Like, where are we going? They had no clue. They had no clue that there were deer running around, that Apollo was gone. Like, they were just like, hey, she's running. Like, complete oblivious. God love the noofs. Anyway, so I finally, of course, stopped myself because I'm like, this is impossible. And I literally was like, well, I guess I only have 18 dogs now. Like, I'm never going to get him. I'm never going to get him back. Anyway, basically, the deer all scattered. Baby deer scattered everywhere. Apollo bounced back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like through all these things. And eventually, I just stopped. Like, I was like, he's gone. Like, I don't know how long he'll chase those deer for, but sigh. So I stopped and I pet the noofs, and I was like, this is why I have noofs, This is why I have noofs. And so he eventually came back. Spoiler alert. He eventually came back. He came back with so much satisfaction. It's the only thing I can describe his face was like, oh, like that was so good. And I imagine it must have been good, right? Like after being in a crate, driving in a bus for 2 days, like he was probably like, oh, so much. Like he probably got the cobwebs out of the joints. He was like, oh, feel like myself again. It was bananas. Anyway, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because, like many of us who've been in that situation where we have that uh-oh moment, and we've been taught to, be more rewarding be more exciting, be more valuable to the dog in the environment, right? Have better treats. Have you heard that? Like bring high value treats. I've heard of people making incredible, what was it? My friend Sharon, what did she make? Tuna brownies? That is it. There, it came back to me. Tuna brownies. Like she was like, oh, I made these made these homemade tuna brownies. I can't remember what we were doing. We were at something together. She's like, I made these homemade tuna brownies. Would you like some for your dog? And I literally was like, thanks for ruining brownies for me. Like forever. Like, ew. But it was a high value reward. Like it was a high value. But yeah, so you're told to bring higher value treats and in some way asking to compete with that environment. And on the surface, it makes sense, right? And I myself have said, I've used that phrase, be the bigger squirrel, right? I've used that I think there's a podcast actually called Be the Bigger Squirrel, right? But being the bigger squirrel totally makes sense until you're trying to out-squirrel a squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're out there and you're actually face to face with a squirrel and your dog's halfway up a tree and you're like, I have a cookie. I mean, it just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Well, here's the problem. Let me tell you what the problem is first. The problem with all of this is that dogs are supposed to notice the environment. Right? They're supposed to be curious. They're supposed to investigate. They're supposed to gather information. You see, the squirrel isn't the problem. The smell isn't the problem. The environment isn't the problem because curiosity is normal, right? That's part of who they are. It's part of them. It's their essence, their being. And we're saying, stop being that. Stop being who you are. And for your troubles, here's a cookie. Like, that's what we're doing. So what happens when we compete with the environment in this way? We interrupt that curiosity, right? We start pulling our dogs away from things. We start becoming obsessed with getting their attention, right? Everything becomes, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Look at me, 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 look at me. I have a cookie, look at me, 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 look at me. That's annoying, eh? That's pretty good at it. Meanwhile, your dog is sitting there going, okay, I know you're there, but also I was learning something. I was gathering information. I was out there, being part of everything that is out here, right? So I think we want to shift our perspective ever so slightly to not to be like, how can I be the bigger squirrel? How can I be more exciting than the environment? But rather, how can I become part of this experience? How can I join my dog in this instead of constantly pulling them away from their world? Okay. Now, if you're about to say something to me like, okay, but what am I supposed to do with the squirrel? Know this, my friend. I have been known to talk some pretty big smack to some squirrels on my dog's behalf. Like, I have been known to yell at a squirrel. I'm not afraid of a squirrel. Those suckers throw things at me, right? Have you ever been walking through the woods and you're like, ow, like that seemed to be a very poignant, like drop of that acorn. And then you look up and it's a little son of a gun just, gnawing on his acorns, chucking his garbage at you like you're nothing. Yeah, those guys. I will yell at a squirrel. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'll yell at a squirrel. And you think I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm really not. There have been times, my kids have heard it, where I have Love you, Levi. I say Levi because I would do this all the time with Levi. Levi would go and find squirrels, and then like, and he'd have his paws up the tree and everything. I'd go up to that tree and I'd be like, yeah, let's find that squirrel. Let's get that squirrel. Right? Like, I can't run. I'm not going to lie. I walk, I Terminator style over to the trees. I'm like, oh, squirrels, right? I'll be like, let's go find us some squirrels today. Like, this is legitimately things that I do with my dogs. I should start a series that's like, things Tracy does with her dogs. I will yell at a squirrel. I'm not even joking about that. I will yell at a squirrel. 100%. All right, so how do we do this? How do we do this? What's the how-to? Well, this is where we would do the exercise that my friend and mentor, Nelson, I think coined the phrase follow the dog. But it literally is just, I like it. I'm going to stick with it because it is exactly what it is. There's no fancy marketing here. It literally is just follow the dog. Right? So here's the difference. Here's the nuance. Because lots of people, and I see it all the time where people are like, I walk the dog structured. And then when we get to the pee or sniff spot, the sniffafari, said with a curled lip, the sniffafari area, then I let the dog do its thing. And that's, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. Sure. But you're not part of it. You're not part of it. Remember a while ago where I said, if you're ready to get weird with me, come into my program. Come into the Fearless Framework. Come into the program. Because follow the dog isn't just letting them do their thing. Follow the dog isn't watching them do their thing. Follow the dog is follow the dog. And if you get into this, first of all, some rules of follow the dog. I have to say this. Shout out to the first person that did this, that made me realize I had to point out the fact that you have to be safe. Don't do this on the highway, clearly. Here's the rules of follow the dog. One, that you need to have a long line and equipment that doesn't represent like any sort of training that you've done, like walking at a heel or stuff like that. So, for example, like a harness is a great thing for follow the dog because it goes along the strongest part of their body. And the idea here, because I'm always the first one to say harnesses don't really have any good communication value to them. They really don't. When it comes to like leash communication and, teaching your dog pressure and release, they don't really have great communication. So I think they're perfect for follow the dog because in follow the dog, I don't want you communicating with them. I want you following the dog. I want the dog to take the lead. So much fun. So much fun. So you're not just going to let them lead and you're going to be like, what's going on? You're going to try to actually follow them. If you can, I mean, I can't, but if you can, try to keep up with them. I can't, but if you can, try to keep up with them. And then just see where they go. Like, let them do what they want to do. Let them go where they want to go. If you have a beagle, be prepared to go around in circles. They tend to, they don't really have a direct line to anything. They just kind of go everywhere. But the idea here is that you are actually going to follow, experience, go see what they're doing, go smell what they're smelling, go dig around in the ground with them, go turn over a rock for them, find a bug, like do stuff with them, right? One of the things, and I've told this story before, like, I don't know how many times, but one of the things that we can do in a follow the dog that like is sort of our human contribution to things, especially if you have a dog, like when I'm out with like Nike, for example, terrier, right? Going to ground, looking under things, doing things. One of the things that she absolutely loves is when I move stuff for her, right? Like if I start digging, there's a rock there or something, I'll move a rock and then she'll be like, what's underneath that rock? Like she's got this like, oh, the power you have with those opposable thumbs. And I'm like, I know, it's pretty awesome. But it's like the perfect example of, utilizing each of our strengths. The dog's nose, the dog's, tenacity to find things in holes and whatnot, but then also my ability to grab things and move things and, roll a log over and see what's underneath that log. Like it brings like a level of partnership to the experience. So now it's not just your dog out there experiencing the environment. You're out there experiencing it with them. Right? You're out there doing it with them. Now, for those of you that, don't have access to like a nature trail or whatnot, and you're like in the urban centers, you can still do that there. In those situations, I'm like, make the adventure be like, if they go to the playground, go up over things, follow them over a thing, follow them on a I'm saying things in my mind. It's just so you know, friend, in my mind, I can picture these things. You're just not in my mind to picture the things. I'm thinking of things like bike racks and stuff like that. Like if dogs are sniffing around them, like go through there, go underneath things, like do what you can. Now, caveat to all of this, don't hurt yourself. Please don't hurt yourself and then come back and be like, I followed the dog into a bush and got stuck. Like, don't do that. Use your head. There are times, especially when working with small dogs, where I'm like, I can't go there. Like just physically, the physics of this is not going to allow me to do what you just did, friend. So you have to, in those cases too, then just ask the dog to go someplace else. Or what I like to do in those cases is I like to just like find something else over here that they're not paying attention to, just start digging in the grass or digging in the ground or whatnot and see if I can entice some curiosity, like where they go, what did you find? Right? Sometimes if I'm being extra jazzy and I remember to put some kibble or some treats in my pocket, I will like dig a little hole and then I'll bury some treats and then I'll be like messing around there and then see if the dog can find it with me. Be like, what did you find? Oh my gosh, blow your mind. Like it's amazing. That's what we're talking about. You can actually start to be part of it. The reason why dogs disconnect from us so much in the environment is because we disconnected from the environment very early on in our relationship. Very early on in our relationship, when we got your dog from a puppy or whatnot, if you got your dog from a puppy, but very early on in your relationship, you probably disconnected from the environment. They learn very quickly that you don't smell the same things that they smell. You don't see the same things they see. And they realize you're not a partner in this with them. So they stopped asking. So do yourself a favor, friend. Start being a part of it. And listen, my final little bit of encouragement before I go is, even if it looks like your dog is not even acknowledging what you're doing, keep showing up. Keep showing up. Because trust me when I say they do notice, they just don't believe it right away. So keep showing up. Keep showing up. Let me know how that works out for you. So at the end of the day, I don't want my dogs to ignore the world around them. I want them to experience it with me. Nothing makes me more happy than a dog that goes outside really excited, but then turns around as if to say, are you coming? Let's go do this. Like nothing makes me happier than when I see that invitation to join them in their world. And trust me right now, my friend, their world is the only world that makes sense. So go join them. Have some fun. Tell me how it goes. All right. I think that's it for today. My dog loving friend. Listen, if you like this sort of thing, be sure to do me a favor and head on over to Apple. Give me a 5-star written review. Really helps push the podcast out. If you're on Spotify, leave me a comment. Make sure you're subscribing over there. And as always, my dog loving friend, get out there today, and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with dangerous behavior with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.